Hi everybody, welcome back to this week's video. So in this video, I wanted to answer a question. I've been asked to answer a series of questions, so I'm going to tackle on those questions one at a time. So this question is kind of weird because it wasn't really like a question. It was like a scenario and how I would tackle on that scenario. So they wanted me to touch on it and just to give advice on how you would tackle it. I do apologize for the echo. There's like really nothing in this room, so it's echoing. So hopefully in editing, I'm able to remove it, but if I'm not able to remove it, that's why. It's because I'm in this empty room or whatever and stuff, and there is nothing in here, so my voice is bouncing off the walls, which I actually like, but I don't think that it always sounds good on video. I ramble on too much. Anyways, so this lady is complaining about like how she had to go to work. She did a double shift. And after her double shift and stuff, she comes home and her husband wants her to have sex. And she's like, I had to do a 16-hour shift. I come home and I have to do this too. So she was just like, okay, how do you deal with that kind of a situation? And first of all, I think that, okay, let's start from the top. Start from the top of this, right? Because, okay, it is very insensitive for any man to expect sex if a 16-hour day has gone by. Now, given there are other women that also would want sex, okay? So it depends on the person. This question is gonna I'm gonna touch on a lot of points in this question alone because I see this from so many perspectives. Like, there's some women that would want a nightcap on their day, which would be like, okay, I just want to be held. I just want to feel that connection with someone at the end of my long, busy day. So this is not to say that every woman would not want to have sex at that point. No, I think it's very individualized where you need to know what your relationship entails to be able to know what to do. So don't just take my advice and try to apply it to your relationship because every relationship is different. Every relationship is different. If I do a 16-hour shift and I come back home, the last thing on my mind is to want to have sex. Unless if I come home, the house is spotless, you ran me a bubble bath or something like that or whatever and stuff, my girl might be okay with it. I might be okay with it or whatever. It just depends on the scenario. Now, is this 16-hour shift something that happens often? Is this your regular routine? Or is this one day out of a period of a time that you're just like, oh, I was just so mad about it. Because if this is routine, then it's a problem. Okay. But if this is just one day out of it's like one instance out of a long period of time, then you can excuse it. You can say, okay, well, that day or whatever, he was just being dumb or something. He was just being stupid. And then let it go. Let it go. Even if you felt some type of way, make sure that you communicate that to him. Like, I'm exhausted. The fact that you expect me it makes me feel some type of way. You need to be communicating that to him so he knows that expecting you to want to engage in sexual curricular activities and stuff after working 2 shifts is ridiculous to you. Let him know that in the nicest way possible because you don't want to bruise his ego or you don't want to hurt his feelings. It's not meant to be. You're not there to hurt his feelings. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys are on the same team. Communicate that. If this is an ongoing thing where it's like, okay, you're constantly working 16-hour day shifts, your life is really, really hectic, but this expectation is there of you whenever you get home. And another factor of this was the lady was kind of frustrated because she's like, he doesn't have a job. And this is where I lost it because my thing is, if you're in between jobs for 6 months to a year, you're in between jobs. If you are in between jobs and you just lazy around, you're not submitting any job application forms to anywhere, you're not trying to even get internships, you're not even trying to volunteer nowhere, you don't get out the house and you're not doing anything, I come home and I still have to pick up after you, you are not in between jobs. You are a bummy ass person. Because in between jobs, like, yo, I don't know how girls excuse this. You cannot be in between jobs for 2-3 years. You haven't had a job in 2-3 years and you're in between jobs? I think not. That is not in between jobs. That's called you are a lazy mother of and you need to get off your behind and get to work. Even in the Bible, because I am Christian, it says that a workman is deserving of his wages. A man that does not work should not eat. It's in the Bible, okay? I'm not saying that you should not eat, but I'm just saying like, yo, I can't make up an excuse for you. 2-3 years, you don't have a job. And then you don't have a job and I have to come back from a 16-hour shift and then you expect me. You know, a lot of the times people wonder why women are so angry about stuff or whatever, but they don't really know what women are actually going through. I feel like I noticed this whole guys not wanting to work or women taking care of men situation in like foreign relationships where it's just like, what the heck? 16-hour shift and I come home and I still have this expectation that's of me. You guys both need to sit down and have a conversation. And the conversation needs to go as this. Communicate what it is that you are feeling about that situation. If this is an ongoing routine, then we need to come up with something that works for us. I can't be working 4 days out of the week, 16-hour shifts, and I come home and you expect me to spread my legs. I'm tired. And nobody wants to be having tired sex because it's not fun for the female. And it wouldn't be fun for you as a male either to know that she's not into it. Well, some guys are disgusting, so never mind. I take that back. Yeah, no, never mind. I don't take it back. Some guys are disgusting because why would you just want to be like having sex with somebody who's not participating with you? You know what I'm saying? Like at a certain point, you're going to think like, yo, are you in this with me or am I in this by myself? You just don't care that she's not in it or whatever. You just want some regardless of if she's in it or not. I don't know. I'm rambling now at this point, but like, have a conversation. I think it starts from having a conversation and being able to implement certain rules that apply to you guys. You have to find something that works. If you know that your schedule is 16-hour day shifts for 4 days a week, then you need to come up with a routine that works for both of you. If you know, okay, if he's going to be home all day, every day or whatever, I expect things to be done so I'm not exhausted. I expect you to be nice to me when I come back from work or something, and maybe that might put me in the mood. If this is one scenario out of like, whatever, I'm recording with my phone, so I keep looking over here, but I'm supposed to be looking over here. So bear with me. But if this is one instance out of like, say the whole week you worked regular 8 hours or something like that, 9 to 5, and then it was just one day where they asked you to stay over at work or whatever and stuff like that, girl, let it go. Have a conversation about how you felt or whatever and let it go. I feel like women hold on to things that you don't need to be holding on to. And it affects your health. It affects your demeanor. It affects everything about you. Have a conversation. We need to start having open conversations with our spouses about what's going on. For females, yes, it is easier to like, you want to rant about stuff or whatever, but sometimes you need to be in control of your own feelings and emotions. Anyways, that's another video. I'm going to answer that in another question that I got. So I don't even think I answered this question. I think I more so just ranted about this question, but I do think that how I would deal with that situation would be to have an open dialogue about how I felt, first of all, how it made me feel. And then from there, how can we strategize so your needs are being met, my needs are being met, and we're not being left out, right? Another thing that came up when I was actually thinking about that question was, how often are you guys even engaging in sexual curricular activities? How often do you guys even have sex? Because if you guys have sex frequently, right? The more sex that you have, I feel like there's not that expectation of it. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like if I'm starving for food, I'm going to want food wherever I can get food. You know, sometimes when you're on a diet or whatever and stuff, you're like, no, I got to eat healthy. I got to plan out my salads and all that stuff. But when the hunger really hits you, you'll stop at a McDonald's and eat McDonald's. That's what I'm talking about. I feel like if you're hungry, you'll take anything wherever you can find it. But if you're full, then you're not so desperate to want it anyhow or anywhere you can get it, right? So I feel like the more sex that you're having or whatever with each other, you know, with your husband or with your wife, then that expectation isn't really there, where it's like you're putting pressure on the other person. So maybe we need to step up our game in how many times we're engaging in sexual activity. What is it that you want from me as far as how many days you want to be engaging in sexual activity? How many days do I want to be engaged in sexual activity? I feel like these are questions that like they ask at premarital counseling stuff, unless you skipped it or whatever. These are questions you guys need to talk about. And things change, people change in relationships, and you constantly have to talk about it. There are times when your desire is for more, and there's times when your desire is for less, and those things need to be talked about. For example, like I feel like when girls are going through like getting close to their menstrual cycle, hormonal changes in your body causes you to think differently about interactions sexually and all that stuff. So these things need to be talked about. If you don't talk about them, how are you supposed to know what's going on internally? Anyways, I've ranted on for about 11 minutes now, so I'm going to end this question and I'm going to move on to the next question that's going to be posted later on. Definitely subscribe, comment below. Like, what are your thoughts on the question? Like, what are your thoughts? Like, how would you deal with that situation if you came back from work for a 16-hour shift, and then you're expected to still participate in extracurricular activities when the person had been home all day and didn't have to do anything? I feel like this person was more so salty that the husband had been home all day and didn't have to do anything, and they had to work or whatever and stuff like that, which I understand. It is a very frustrating situation. I think the frustration came from he's not doing anything at all and I'm doing everything. So I don't think it was about the sex. I think it was more so about feeling salty because you're the one that's doing things and that person is not doing anything, or they're not carrying their weight. That was a mouthful. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be answering more of these questions. I hope these questions are helpful for you guys. Comment below. Give me a huge thumbs up if this was in any way, shape, or form helpful to you, or even if you agreed with what I said, or you thought about the same thing when I said it or whatever. Anyways, I just want interaction. So I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.